Hi, everybody. Now, time for our next round of our monthly lesson. Just for reference, I'm Taylor Adler. I'm the chapter health manager. And for September, we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting and maintaining your members. We're continuing with our theme for building healthy hives. So let's get started. Oh, and just for reference, you're going to hear bird sounds. It's just a thing I like to do when I'm presenting because it really um, goes back and forth with our primal instinct to make us feel safe and sound. So yeah. So a little presentation overview. We're going to talk about non-selective recruitment tips and tricks. We're going to run through some of our recruitment events. We're going to talk a little bit about traditions, retention 101 for our new members, but also for our actives. So non-selective recruitment tips and tricks. So we're going to dive a little deeper into what non-selective recruitment is and then how to make sure it's successful. So what is great about non-selective recruitment? I'll tell you a few things. So we practice what we preach, and we're truly inclusive of everyone that is interested in being a part of our sisterhood. It helps to avoid the daisy chain effect of only telling folks you know. Sometimes that just creates a chapter that only looks like you, which isn't diverse or representative of the university community that you actually serve. Diversity is essential to the functionality and sustainability of our chapters. So this is what's great about non-selective recruitment. So here are some tips for a successful one. So as you think about non-selective recruitment, think about POMs, right? So we're cheering on, we're excited to get new members. So what do our POMs include? P, promote. O, optimize. M, marketing. And S, support. So let's talk about promoting. So promotion of recruitment is great when it's partnered with events. So think about tabling at high traffic student areas, also during high traffic times like class changes. It can be a really great time to grab folks as they're walking to their next class, to hand them a free water bottle or anything like that. Make it fun, pass out free items, attending student work fairs, service fairs, and Greek fairs. Show off your sisterhood and give information about your chapter specifically and also about our national organization. Hosting a get to know you event or get to know the sisters event. During that, if you do a service project as you hang out with potential new members, that's a really way to engage them and also let them know what we're about. We're service based. Holding information sessions. During these, it's really great to get some active sister testimonials. So you can hear from people that are part of the organization, hear like why they joined, what they do, make them excited to be a part of it. Doing fun service opportunities as a way to recruit. So having some hands-on projects so that they can see the impact, whether that's doing something on your university campus like gardening, adopting a highway, building nice things to put around your campus, things that people are able to really see so they can see your impact. And then lastly, attend other student organizations meetings to see if any of their members are interested in joining. They might have some likeness between you guys and you're able to recruit that way. Let's talk about optimizing. So when thinking about recruitment, it is essential to think about what is happening around the same time. So here are some things that you really want to avoid. Panhellenic recruitment. It's usually a chaotic event for a lot of folks that choose to participate, so they're usually exhausted. You also might have members that are part of Panhellenic organizations as well as OFIA, and so it's really important to be considerate that they're going to be super busy and exhausted, but also once that recruitment is over, they can come be a part of OFIA if that's what they're really into. So it just works out really well. First week of classes, definitely avoid having your recruitment during that time. It's just really hectic for a lot of freshmen as they're trying to figure out where they're going, how to make friends, everything in between. If you do anything the first week, I definitely recommend like helping folks move in, being a guide to help students find classes, all of those things. And you could do that while wearing your OFIA shirt and talking a little bit about your organization at the same time. recruitment weeks for other service sororities. There are a couple of other service sororities just like ours. And so it's really a good idea to not have things overlapping at the same time, just because you lose a lot of your fan base. Major freshman events, like convocation, first night events. Sometimes there's like geared towards retention events for freshmen. So avoiding those big ones that freshmen are obviously going to go to, so they'll actually come to your events. Unless you're able to partner with the school and maybe have a table at those events, works out really well. School-based holidays like Labor Day is a really big one that's coming up in the fall. So really avoiding doing anything on that day is super important. National holidays, anything like that. Like Labor Day and other school-based holidays actually would be like wellness days. I know for UNC, we have Labor Day on the 5th, and they went ahead and gave us the wellness day on the 6th. So we actually get a really long extended break, which is really nice. So if you avoid these, it should be an optimal time to recruit. Also take into consideration normal class times to prioritize when to table, when to hold recruitment events, and more. Especially if you know like there are a ton of freshmen that are taking a class from noon to 2 p.m., then maybe don't table around that time. So little things like that where you're like, okay, like let me use some context clues and pick things that are going to be really optimal for us having the best recruitment ever. Marketing. So when you're promoting, the most important question to ask is, when they look us up, what do they find? And two, do they understand what a Mega Phi Alpha is? These are the two basics that you want to make sure you're always taking into consideration when you're thinking about marketing your organization. So some tips to support this is utilizing inclusive language. As recruitment approaches, have posts dedicated to explaining OFIA. Prepare members on how to talk about OFIA, so prepping their elevator speeches. Those can be really fun, especially if you do it during chapter. You can do a skit kind of version, have one person pretend to be the potential new member, one person like walk up and say like, this is how I would give the spiel. So then everyone in chapter is able to like see it and grow together, and ask questions at the same time. Utilize multiple platforms to share promotional materials. So this can look like flyers in person, in all spaces. So think about any gaps that you might have. So making sure you're going to academic buildings, you're going to accessibility spaces, diversity spaces, bathrooms, anything like that, where it's like you're going to get a very wide variety of people to be a part of your organization. You can do electronic flyers, social media, creative events, etc. So just make sure you're having different ways that you're sharing out about your recruitment. Support. So recruitment can be very stressful for all parties involved. So it's really important to support your membership director, especially during this time. So help to take a task off of their list because the list is always growing. I know. Offer to lead a recruitment night or activity, especially when you do your recruitment nights as pillars. So for leadership night, if you have a leadership chair or the president is automatically the liaison as well. So they can lead that night. Service, let the service directors take charge. Sisterhood, the sisterhood director. The membership director can always lead in these spaces. And so it's nice if they do have folks that are able to support them and maybe lead an activity, give them a break, anything in between. You can help assist with any purchasing. It's a lot to run to stores, to get decorations, to get food, snacks, etc. So any way that you can help would be awesome. Assist with setting up recruitment. I'm a huge fan that I think all chapters should have a stake in recruitment. And so all of chapters should arrive a little bit early to help set up and make sure everything is pristine. Make sure any potential members have an accessible experience. The recruitment director, membership director is usually maybe 1 to 2 people. And if you have a really big turnout, it's really hard for them to look at the little details sometime and notice if maybe someone is having accessibility issues. And so as a sister, if you can help them take care of that and make sure that everyone feels comfortable and confident in the space they're in, that'd be awesome. Your chapter also has the support of nationals. Sometimes situations arise when you may not know what to do. We're here to help. Send us a quick email, message us on Slack so that we can help you find a solution that works best and is tailored to get the best response that you need. All right, so we talked about POMs. Now let's talk about staying in line with national values and expectations. So do not use subjective criteria to determine if potential new members are eligible to join. Remember that most of our chapters are non-selective. So that ends up holding folks back from joining when you're using subjective criteria. This can look like making sure they have previous service experience or previous leadership experience, their socioeconomic status, their campus status, or what connections they have, their grade level, their disability status, their race, ethnicity, etc. All of the things that we don't discriminate against, we want to make sure that stays in line with the way that we're recruiting. Objective criteria can look like their student status. Are they a full-time student? Are they part-time? Are they actually registered to attend this university? Credit hours, GPA requirements, and the number of recruitment events that they attend. Common questions for criteria. How do we know when someone shouldn't make it? So some ways to think through this is maybe they don't attend any of the recruitment events. They don't meet your university's guidelines to be a part of a student organization. To find that out, you can usually just go on your leadership and service page on your university, and they should tell you the requirements for that. We also usually have a university advisor that is able to make sure that that's taken care of as well. They're not full-time students, or if they violate any of our national policies during the recruitment process. Other additional common questions. So what if we don't have enough bigs? Ask your members to take twins, or ask folks that already have littles to take another one. Remind folks that being a big is being a mentor to a new sister joining the chapter. Reduce your requirements with gifts for bigs and littles. That's usually the number one reason people don't want to be a big, because of the requirements or the cost association. So really looking at that process and lightening the load of it is really going to be helpful and beneficial for you getting more bigs. Have spaces where bigs can craft together. So if you put into your budget line getting a bunch of canvases or some wood making gifts, so bigs can come together, they can decorate, they can craft for their future little. That's a really great way to reduce at least one gift that someone might be worried about. All right, so what events should we be doing for recruitment? So I'm going to go through a list of what's required and then also a list of things that you could add on. So some required recruitment events. We ask that you have an information session, 3 nights of official recruitment nights, like of actual like events, whether it's relating to service, sisterhood leadership, having bid day, and then having your pinning or initiation ceremony. Additional events that you could have, get to know the sisters event, which is super fun. Those can partner with having a sisterhood component or service component. Various tabling events just to make sure you're handing out flyers for recruitment. It can look like passing out water bottles that have custom labels for your recruitment. It has the dates on them, maybe a QR code to your Instagram or your link tree. You can pass out school supplies that people might need. You can have a snack station that you man for and allow people to come get free snacks as you tell them about recruitment. You can help freshmen move in. Also recommend having a new member retreat. This can be partnered with Bid Day, so it's just a big day affair where we have Bid Day, and then you, right after, move into the new member retreat. They get a quick little refresher about the requirements. They're able to bond as a new member class, build some rapport. You can also build in a big little mixer right then and there since everyone's already there, and that usually works out well. Each official recruitment night, aligning with the pillar of the sorority is also really good. And then always making sure to have some big little mixers. Traditions. So now we're going to move on to the next jumping point. So what are some ways to incorporate traditions into the mix? During a nationals level, so during recruitment, you'll utilize the new member initiation ceremony, the national song, the OPA chant. This will mainly take place during the initiation/pinning ceremony. You can also utilize any of the cheers and chants or songs during other parts to bring forward some excitement while tabling or welcoming to the recruitment process. The OPA chant is really great when you're welcoming in the potential new members for the first official night of recruitment. It's really like exciting and they're like, oh my God, they're so cool. So that's something that I always recommend. So now we're looking at the chapter level. Every chapter is so different, but you can create opportunities for annual excitement, such as coordinating bid day shirts. You can wear those to like one specific night of your recruitment and your bid day, or just your bid day, and have everybody also amp it up a little bit, dressing to the theme. Annual Get to Know the Sisters event. So this can be potluck style, service partnership, a mini TED Talk series so people can kind of share what they're super passionate about. Active sister recruitment training, so skits for how to talk to potential new members, but also to get them prepped for what to expect for recruitment, what they're being asked of, and allow them to ask any questions or help give feedback and suggestions on how to improve the process. And then also chapter specific cheers and chants. So you might have your own that no one else knows, which is really cool. And then anything else that's fun and exciting so people are looking forward to come to recruitment. All right, so now we're gonna talk about retention. We're gonna start with our new members. So a really big question that we get asked often is how do we get our new members to stay? I have 8 tips and 8 things that I think really help align people with our organization. So 1, make sure they know all of the commitments you're asking of them. And this is really important when you're having information sessions or when you're having checkouts after each night of recruitment, just to remind them, like, thank you for coming to the first night of recruitment. We are so excited that you're here. Here's what to expect for tomorrow. And then also, just as a refresher, here's what we're requiring for our new members. Just so at no process can they say, like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. They can actually say, oh, I absolutely knew what I was getting into. This is what I wanted. This is what I'm here for. Number 2, lighten the load. So this is a cool process of just looking at what are we requiring our new members to do that's outside of like the national requirements, and can we adjust that? Can we make it a little bit easier for them? Can we lighten everything that they're supposed to do? So this is a practice that you can do that will really also help your new members to stay and want to be a part of this process. Number 3, get continuous feedback from recently activated new members so your process can improve. On the national level, we like to call this after action reviews. So this is something that your chapter can do after your new members are officially active sisters. You can hear from them. You can make sure that they can help the new class get a better process. If they've noticed things that could have been more efficient, or they might have wanted more support in certain ways, anything like that. 4, building moments of connection with active members. So you can make sure that they attend active meetings. You can always invite actives to attend their specific service projects. You can make sure that once the new members attend the active meetings, they get like a little moment to say who they are and something about themselves, and making sure that they can come to sisterhood events. So you just want to constantly have them merged in. So when they become an active, it's like, oh, okay, it's just a title change, but they're already like really close to our sisterhood. Number 5 is Active Life 101. So I like to have this once it's like the first meeting of the new year of their like active status. So they get a refresher because they learned about it and then they had a huge break and now they're coming back and they're like, oh my God, I don't really remember everything I was supposed to be doing. And so this is just a refresher for them. So reminding them about when chapters are, different positions they can hold, what's expected of them now that they're inactive, anything like that. Just a little refresher for them. And then also just following up to make sure that they feel like they're a part of the sisterhood. 6, support, support. And lastly, support. It's really important for everyone to feel like they have support, and if they can have that throughout the new member process into their active status, they're all set. 7, new member class pride. So finding ways for them to just bond as a new member class so they feel close to each other. And they also have opportunities to share that out with all of the active sisters. It's just really exciting and fun. And then lastly, big little. This process, if done correctly and they get a mentor, is awesome. Sometimes it works out where they're super duper close and they're like sisters in real life and all of these things, which is awesome. But the main goal is to have a mentor and someone that's able to guide you and help you through this process as you become an active. And so if that baseline is achieved, people want to stay. They want to be a part of the organization. Retention 101. But now let's talk about for our actives. So what's important for our actives? Chapter morale. So when we're thinking about the atmosphere that we come into our chapter meetings, that we come into our sister events, our service events, are people excited to see each other? Are they excited to be there? Are they giving ideas? Are they engaged? What does that morale look like? And so if that morale is constantly high, actives are going to want to stay. But if it's low, if it's filled with drama, if people don't feel like they have a voice, they don't have somebody that they can come to on exec board that they trust, things like that, it's going to lead to a lower chapter morale and people are not going to be a part of the chapter. Next, advance notice of needs and requirements. So the sooner that your active members know the service opportunities, the sisterhood opportunities, leadership, etc. The sooner that they know, the more likely they are to feel like they can attend that and that the punishment that they would be getting for not attending is not well suited or is unfair. So it's really important that the more time that you give them, the more likely it is for folks to show up and also to feel like, oh, okay, like I want to make that a priority. So the same way I said support, support, and more support for our new members, we need that for our actives too. And that can look a lot of different ways, like having a chapter support committee, just numerous things that you can do to make sure that we're supporting our sisters. Opportunities for growth. So leadership is a pillar and it's a really important one. And it doesn't only include holding a position within the chapter, but it can also include making sure that once sisters graduate, they feel like they have a network and foundation that they achieved while being a part of this organization. Investment in sisters. This partners really well for the opportunities for growth. Trauma-informed and wellness-centered spaces. We really prioritize mental health. That's why it's one of our permanent projects, and we need to create spaces that also prioritize this. And so it's really good for you to have spaces that are trauma informed in the light of being respectful that everyone has faced some form of trauma and our bodies hold that. So how can we as sisters be respectful of that and make sure that we're prioritizing wellness over commitment? That's a really important one as well. Next is connection. If people don't have any connection to the chapter, they're not going to want to stay in the chapter. And so how can you make sure that every member is feeling connected to everybody in the chapter and feel like they have a safe space? Intentional service opportunities. So a lot of chapters do a survey to kind of just gauge like, who do you want to serve this upcoming year, this upcoming semester, etc.? What kind of service would you be into, etc.? Just so that they're able to make it intentional and people feel like they have a stake in the service that they choose to do. Final thoughts. So, some things to consider. How are you constantly promoting your chapter outside of recruitment? So, recruitment can be like a start to go, and you're just zooming and you're zooming and you're zooming for about 2 to 4 weeks. Recruitment is over, and then usually chapters stop promoting themselves. No reason to do this. Your service that you do, if you have awareness weeks and you table during that, that's a great way to promote your chapter. Making sure while you're on campus, you are making sure that your chapter is known, etc. All those things go into constantly promoting your chapter. Number two, what opportunities do you have that allow sisters to tap into their leadership potential outside of holding a position? Number three, how are you all constantly working on your chapter morale? Number four, are there any ways to connect alumni to help improve and connect your chapter? And then number five, are there any requirements that are too much? Can we lighten our load? So, some words of wisdom. Inhale, exhale. It is well, it is well. All of this is a part of the story you will tell. Thank you, and see you next month.